Hey everyone, Brian here from Vintage Classic Specialist. Happy Monday, everyone. It is time for another episode of Day in the Life of Vintage Classic Specialist. So let's start off with what's missing. The regulars around here probably know that the 54 Barndoor is normally sitting over there. That is, of course, the Signal Orange 70 Gia. And so the Barndoor I mentioned last week, if you're a regular around here, you know that it went back to A1 muffler for Tiger to do a little fine tuning, so to speak, of the custom exhaust work that we had done on it. When we gave him the muffler and we gave him a template for him to put the single tip on it. If you're a regular around here, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about on the 54 Barndoor. And he did a great job, but with the template that we gave him, it would have been kind of amazing if he got it like dead on where it needed to be. And so, not surprisingly, it was off a little bit. Again, not his fault. He worked with what we gave him and it ended up off a little bit, and that's fine. So anyway, the whole car now has gone back to him for him to fine tune the position of the tailpipe, and we actually want to shorten it a bit too. It was sticking out. It's probably sticking out a good 4 inches past the bumper, and we're wanting more like 2 inches. So anyway, the car is down there at A1 Muffler in Santa Ana right now, and I actually ran down there again at the end of the day to help them get it up onto one of their lifts. And so I believe the plan is that in the morning they're going to start in on it. And again, it's already up on one of their lifts, and so yeah, I think that's the plan. So when I do another episode a day from now, it might be back. So we'll see. That would be cool because we're ready to get that puppy going. Anyway, so that's what is happening with the Barndoor. The 70 Gia, it might just stay right here for now. It does need a little bit more upholstery gluing and stuff like that, but the upholstery glue is fairly well behaved in that when he sprays it, he basically sprays it with a paint gun essentially. It doesn't like float all over the place and stuff. It pretty much goes exactly where you spray it. So other than having some glue fumes in here when he's finishing the carpet up in here, we might just leave the car here. However, it is still on dollies, so we'll see. If it's easy enough to roll it outside when he's doing paint work, then that's what we'll do. But anyway, at some point it will be back here, semi-permanently and up on jack stands. We'll get rid of the dollies and stuff, and then that's where it'll be at this stage here where we're putting it together, final assembly essentially. But anyway, so this is where it's going to be for a while, although it may leave briefly to finish the upholstery. So Mr. Rafa worked today on this guy primarily, and Santiago worked on a little bit too. We finally went and added the rear seat release mechanism on here, which we had powder coated and stuff. And then previously, Santiago had made the support here for the speakers. And so, yeah, this is all ready to go in now. So the upholstery for this car is ready to go in for real. So Rafa finished running some speaker wires, or finished doing something with those speaker wires. So those are pretty much ready to connect to these 6x9s. And I think he also finished some wiring on the radio up front. It looks like maybe he's not quite done up there, but he will finish that and then tuck all those wires up in there neatly. And then at that point, that big fresh air box, the one that picks up air from here, will get installed, and then the wiring cover, and this will all be kind of closed up here. So getting super close, guys. So again, yeah, he worked on the radio today, and I think he put the license plate on. Again, the car is from Washington, so there's its license plate. And yeah, just little things like that on the car, just getting it that much closer to being done. I do need to still order CV axle assemblies for it. Wolfsburg West doesn't carry those. They carry individual CV joints, but generally speaking, we just order the full assemblies. It ends up being more cost effective because it's cheaper than paying us to assemble new ones, or to disassemble and grease and reassemble used ones. So, and plus they're just a pain in the ass to grease. So we'll put new ones on, and that'll be that. And let's see. Oh, I picked up a battery for this car today. And just like I said, guys, this car is getting really, really close. The full interior hopefully will be going in the next day or so. Seats have been done for, I don't know, a couple months maybe. So that was pretty much Mr. Rafa's day. Let's talk about my day a little bit, and then I'll talk about the new mini project that came in here. So other than making 2 trips down to Santa Ana to accompany the Barndoor bus and then to help them get it up on the lift and discuss it a little bit more, other than that, and this, which again I'll come back to, pretty much worked on this. So I finished, if you follow the channel, you know that I did the cam break-in on this motor. Again, this is basically a 1700cc 40 horse-ish motor for the blue 64 bug, which is sitting right outside at the moment. And the reason I say 40 horse-ish, not the horsepower, but the actual like designation of the motor, it's 40 horse case. Everything else internally is 1600 stuff, and then there are 1600 single port heads. So it's a bit of a Frankenstein, but this is the numbers matching 40 horse case to that car. So we wanted to utilize it, but they want drivability. So this is what we've got. We got this kind of Frankenstein-y 40 horse motor, and I will probably, so again, cam break-in's done, did the oil change and stuff today, oil looked great, and probably try and strap this thing on the dyno at Roth Vintage maybe later this week. So that would be pretty cool. See what this little thing can do and give it a little bit more torture test and so on before it goes into the car. So I finished the oil change on it, and new gaskets on the valve covers, all that good stuff. And then finally, these things came from the guys in Canada, CIP1, and they sat in customs for a really long time. It was super annoying. I probably ordered these things at least a couple weeks ago, and they sat in Tennessee for literally like a couple weeks. Super annoying. But anyway, here they are. So what these things are is when you're running heater boxes, but with an aftermarket exhaust, you've got to have a way to get from the heater box to basically ultimately the fan shroud. And so on a stock exhaust, on these pipes here, there's this kind of like bulbous shaped connector thing that connects the heater box, and then it has there's like a little sleeve that you push down in it, and then you end up with something sticking up here, and then you run the black paper hose from here to there. But with an aftermarket exhaust, you don't have that coupler, adapter, whatever you want to call that thing is here. So CSP, the guys in Germany, to the rescue. They make these metal hoses so they can, take the heat of being basically attached to the exhaust system. And then they fit on this side, they fit on the, what do you call it? Oh, guys, I'm having a senior moment here. They fit on the heater box. Thank you. And then on this side, they're the right size to fit on the paper hose. So pretty much these things, you get them, and you usually have to like trim the length a little bit and kind of manhandle them to get them to fit in here. You see these are pretty much there now. This is just sitting here. It's not bolted down. But then at that point, you can put on the stock grommet, and then again, the black paper hose and everything. And everything here in the engine compartment will look totally stock as far as those hoses, and you can use the rubber grommets and stuff like that. So very clean installation. But again, it allows you to run heater boxes with an aftermarket muffler. So super cool that CSP makes these, because otherwise we'd have to like fabricate something, and these are really nice. I've actually used them on other cars as well. So that was another thing I did on this one, is get those and start trimming them and fitting them in there. And I think that is it for this one. So why don't we talk about the new mini project that came in. So I don't know what's going on with 64 Beetles, guys, but we have been getting so many 64 Beetles lately. We've had at least a couple, and then the 64 Beetle that we did a full restoration on was back in the shop last week for a couple minor things. And now we've got this 64 Beetle here, and I've got another guy on the wait list with the 64 Beetle, and I don't know what's going on. 64 Beetles seem to be popping up everywhere, and they're all coming into our shop. Anyway, this one. So this car was completely restored at another shop, not local here, but anyway. And nice looking car. It's again, it's a '64 Beetle, pretty much completely stock everywhere. But the motor on it has just never really ran great. And so I think at some point, and the car, I think the restoration was just done like a year ago. And again, it's just never really ran right. And so I think at some point he sent, I don't know if it was the whole car or just the motor, back to the restoration shop. And they did something, I don't remember what. And I think it still just didn't really run all that great. And then either before or after that, he had another shop that looked at it, and I think that shop is the one that said that it had bent push rods, which I don't know if I've ever really heard of bent push rods on a, essentially a stock motor. And I can't imagine that if something was screwed up inside the motor enough that it would bend the push rods. That, I don't know, guys. So I think then at some point it was rebuilt, maybe, or maybe they just replaced the push rod. I don't know. It's a very sort of convoluted story. And he explained it all to me, but again, I have kind of a terrible memory for that sort of thing. But anyway, so finally it has found its way to us, because I think he said when he drives it, it like goes okay initially, like maybe starting off in first gear when the load is, like relatively not that high. But then as you're kind of accelerating through the gears, it just seems like it loses power and is very kind of sputtery, and he just never really runs right. And the carburetor apparently has been rebuilt maybe a couple times, and I don't know, guys. So he brought it into us to let us give our hand at trying to diagnose it. I have already gone and checked some of the major things on it just this afternoon. Went ahead and pulled the spark plugs and did a compression check, and it's okay. It's not great, but it's like around 110, 120 on all four cylinders. So it's like okay. So I did that. I checked the static timing. I checked the points. I checked the fuel pressure, which is a bit high. It's like 5 PSI. Would be better if it was more like 3, but I don't think that would be enough to cause the issues that he was talking about. However, I may go ahead and correct his fuel pressure while the car's here and I'm kind of working on it. So I don't know, guys. I have some other ideas. I'm going to check his valves in the morning and do a valve adjustment as needed. And then I think I need to take the car for a spin and see, because it's one thing for somebody to describe what it does, how it's running, and obviously quite another for me to drive it in person. And hopefully it will do those same things, but I don't know. We'll see. The only other things that I've found so far, which I don't think are going to be it, but who knows, is that the connector between the positive side of the coil here, so this is your power for the coil, the connector was like super loose. Like I barely touched it and it came off. So I can't imagine that had been making a very good electrical contact. And then also on the negative side of the coil, so this is the one that runs down to the condenser, that connector also was super loose, like just not making great contact with the terminal on the coil. So I don't know that either of those things would have caused what he described, but I did tighten up both of those connections. I sort of replaced one of them, and then the other one I just kind of recrimped the connector, and it feels nice and snug now. But who knows, guys? I mean, if it was really having kind of like an intermittent or poor connection or poor current flow to the coil, that could conceivably run okay under low load, but not under like a higher load. So I don't know. And the other thing I suspect maybe is the condenser. When the condensers are going bad, they can do all kinds of weird things as far as how they run. So that's kind of on my short list of things to check after I take it after I adjust the valves and then take it for a test drive. So I've got some ideas, guys. We'll see. So kind of a fun little puzzle here to try and solve and see if I can get this puppy to run good. The only other thing I noticed is when I fired it up, this motor is super noisy and it sounds like it's got a lot of clanking going on, and it sounds like it's inside the case to me. So I don't know if it's got some rod knock going on. I don't think it was rod knock, but something in there. It sounded really loud to me, guys. And 40 horses are sometimes loud, so maybe this is just a particularly loud 40 horse, but I don't know, guys. So that's one of the reasons I want to go ahead and adjust the valves. I don't think it was valve noise. I'll be happy if that's all it was. But then if valves are off that much, then something could be en route to failure. I don't know, guys. It's just a huge mystery. So I'm going to methodically work my way through it. And a nice looking engine, by the way. They did a pretty good job cosmetically on the restoration. But yeah, it doesn't run that great. So it looks good, but we'll see if we can make it also run good. And just a little bit more about the car. So they used the interior from West Coast Classic Interiors. And yeah, it's nice, cool color. I don't know what color that's called off the top of my head, but it looks great. And there you go. So yeah, very nice car overall, but we got to get it so that the owner can drive it and have confidence in it, you know, running and driving and not running crappy or not having power or whatever. So that's my goal. That's this mini project. So other than that, Mr. Santiago has been continuing to work on the headliner for the bus that came in the other day, and Renee was not in today, so nothing really happening on the paint and body side of the shop. So guys, that is it for today. Thank you all very much for watching, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.